Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am your host, Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium, Medical Intuitive, and Mentor. I believe we are entering into a new psychic structure of our reality that embodies deeper trust, self-love, and fearless integrity. Our New World energy needs us all to make space for it, so we can support consciously conceiving parents, true intuitive pregnancies, and trusting the nature of birthing babies upon our lands with co-creation of heart. I thank you personally for tuning into all things spiritual and earth grounding, conversations that support each other and teach us to be open, free, and thrive within autonomous living and with the spark of wisdom. This is Spirit Baby Radio. Welcome to episode 166, May 26, 2023. Real stories and experiences with children walking in the light, conversations of the heart. I have some special guests here and I'm very excited. It is Claudia and Ramona. And hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly.
And they're here. You can hear them. And we were just kind of talking a little bit before, and I get to visually see them. And so, but this, of course, will be all, you'll get to hear them and the things they have to share and the curiosities and things. And of course, this is really specific around loss. And maybe I can give that even now around birth loss, around child loss. And really what connected me with Claudia and Ramona was actually a podcast I did, I want to say a year or two ago, with Andrea and Jose about the loss of their son. And you can see that through the audio. And they actually, in that one, there's a YouTube too. And why I talk about Andrea is because she's in this book that I want to share, that Claudia and Ramona were, I don't want to say maybe heart inspired, right? It's your story. And we're going to hear more about their stories just a little bit and what was the creation of this book, the organization, and all the other deep heart work that they're doing in the world, really dedicated and connected to their children. And what I would say is the children of light. And that's how I perceive it and look at children that are in the other life, in the afterlife, in heaven, in nirvana, whatever it is. And so this beautiful book, Walking in the Light of Our Kids, departed children give their mothers solace and joy by communicating on the soul level. And so Andrea, when she shared that she was in the middle of this book, like working with it, and I thought I feel so like honored to be able to have Claudia and Ramona in this space, because I heard about this book a long time ago. And I was like, when is this book coming out? What does it look like? And to be sitting here with everybody, it's really amazing, because I remember when it was just beginning, and then I was heard about it. And then I know that I came on a platform for them not too long ago to just talk to their people about spirituality and mediumship and healing. And so Claudia and Ramona, I want to hear a little bit of, who you are and the inspiration to your story and your heart opening. Whoever wants to go first, you pick.
Okay, I will go first. Hi, my name is Ramona. I go by Mona. I have 3 daughters. 2 are here on earth and 1 is in spirit. Her name is Mia, and she passed away on February 7, 2020. She was 1 month old. I don't know, Claudia, if you want to introduce yourself, and then I can continue.
Yes, hi, my name is Claudia, and I have 2 daughters. One is 13 years old now, and I have my forever 15 years old Emma, who was diagnosed with cancer when she was 12, and she passed away. I don't like to say she passed away, by the way. We used to say she transitioned to the other side, or she flipped into eternity, because she was a gymnast before it happened. She flipped into eternity when she was 15. Now, during the cancer treatment, she had to have her leg amputated because of the cancer. She actually got to choose either to have amputated her leg or to save her leg. But if she would have saved her leg, she wouldn't have been able to do gymnastics again. So she chose, at 12 years old, she chose to have her leg amputated, and she was back into gymnastics. So I like to say that she flipped into eternity, because a few moments before she passed away, I kind of, she gave me a gift right then. She looked up into the corner of the room and she said, very happy, "Oh my God, mommy, it's time for me to go." And that moment, as sad as it is, it was a gift, because I knew she's not lost, she's not gone, she's with someone. And I start whispering to her ear, soon you're gonna have two perfect legs, you're gonna do gymnastics again. And this is how she has flipped into eternity. Now, she taught me it wasn't easy to live with an amputation, but she made the best out of it. And she taught me how to live with an amputation. And now I can figuratively say that my family lives with an amputation. And if I don't rock it the way she did, I don't make justice to her life.
I wanted to say that I always think about how amazing it is how Claudia and I met. And we met, I would say, at the right time, because we did meet before. One of my daughters, my oldest daughter, Ariana, was invited to sing at a concert for Emma, while Emma was here on Earth and she was fighting cancer. It was her second year fighting cancer. So I was there with Emma. Claudia was probably around, but I didn't get to meet her then. And Emma's story was so powerful, but at the same time, it just seemed like this will never happen to me. And we didn't meet then. And after Mia passed,
we did meet, but we don't remember
we don't
each
remember each other. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a concert, right? So lots of people. So after Mia passed, I remember from the first day, Mia and my other daughter's godmother insisted that I meet with Claudia because she can give me some comfort. And I remember I was saying repeatedly, unless she brings Mia back, I don't want to hear it. Thankfully, my daughter's godmother insisted, and about 6-7 months into my grief journey, I met Claudia, and we've been friends ever since. But that was really, I guess, the best moment in time for us to meet each other, because I feel that she saved me. And that's where my journey into spirituality began. I was born and raised Christian Orthodox. And they say that people, when they die, they they rest peacefully, and that's what I believed, and it was very hard to hear. And then I just want to say this story over and over again, that Claudia, I was in deep grief and I was really depressed and didn't want to live, and Claudia still had a smile on her face, and she could still laugh, and she seemed to be doing okay, and I didn't understand it. But then she told me that our daughters are still living, and that changed my life completely. I like to say that I went through the dark night of the soul, where like I said, I didn't want to live. And then at that moment, I just had like an awakening moment, and I'm grateful to Claudia forever for that moment. and I don't want to get emotional. Fast forward, she introduced me to a grief support group that involves spirituality and discussions about afterlife. And I do want to acknowledge that group. It's called Helping Parents Heal, and it's based in the US. And that was the beginning of my healing journey with them, and side by side with my friend Claudia. I'm not sure how to continue, but I do want to speak about the book that we wrote. And there's a story that comes with it. We were invited to write in a different book by our friend Ellie Shakett in the US. And she was doing an anthology of stories of mothers who lost children and how they found hope, that their children are still here, very much alive and very much present. And that was really healing for me and Claudia. And I'm sorry that I'm speaking on your behalf, Claudia, but I know we think
No,
the
it's
same.
good. It's great.
And it was really good putting the story down, not just the story of who our children were, but also the story of what they mean to us, and the story of never letting go, and that we can't let go, and that it's very hard for us to hear when people say you have to let go, because
Or
that's
put
not
closure.
happening.
Find a closure.
Find closure. And that was really healing. And also the feedback that we got from that book was very healing, because we were able to touch other mothers' hearts, and they found hope in those stories. So we felt we had to continue, not only for our own healing, but also so we can bring healing to other mothers, and also to find other mothers who don't know how healing writing their children's stories is. So that's how we came up with the idea of writing our own book. And it was an incredible journey. Claudia, if you want to take over and talk a bit about that journey of writing the book.
Whoa, it wasn't easy. So we first invited the mothers that we knew. Ramona knew a bunch of mothers who lost their children, and I knew on my side a lot of mothers who lost their children to cancer. So we contacted them all. We asked them who wants to participate in this project, and most of them did. Most of them that we asked, they did. We started to write each chapter, and we told them that we would like to write the child's story, how the child was. We kind of had an outline, so each chapter would look pretty much organized and the same. And then at the end, we would like to add how we found our children in spirit, because all these mothers, we knew that they have signs from their children, and they shared this with others. So I said this would be the last part. We want this book to be not a sad book. We want to be an inspiring book for other mothers who lost their children, and eventually for somebody who doesn't go through this tragedy, to be an inspiration to know that there is something more after life, and also to know and to understand that after a tragedy like this, you start being grateful for every little thing that is in your life. You don't dwell on things that are not meaningful anymore.
Yeah, I have your book right here in front of me, and there's definitely so many amazing stories, and it does to me, like from reading from the outside, it feels like such an honoring and tribute to your children, right? And the way that the energy is really shared, because I do feel like every story has its own vibration. And there's going to be a lot of, tears. I'm not going to lie. Like, I really felt a lot of feelings and a lot of things. And so and really going into the stories of connection and communication. There's some really profound connections that a lot of mothers and fathers and even maybe siblings and relatives and friends experience. And I feel like that's what you're connecting with in this book, is like really bringing in that communication on a soul level. Like, we're here in these earth bodies, but of course there's communication. And I say it so like casual because I feel like, why don't we begin more and more? This is a normal conversation, right? We talk so much about life, but life cannot exist without death. It cannot. It does not. And so again, it's how we reframe it, how we're connecting with it. And I know that you and many others, you offer people an opportunity to be able to speak about things they know in their heart, right? And that's a really big deal, especially in a book form, to know that, hey, look, oh my gosh, my child's in communication with me. I know they are, but then am I going crazy? Or what am I thinking? Or what's the sign? Or I don't know. And it's like, okay, breathe, come back. Yes, it is real. You are in communication. It's okay to freak out because maybe your culture says something, or whatever that is. And then, yeah, your life, obviously you both have experienced, just really transformed. And go ahead.
This is what happened with Ramona initially, because she did get some signs from little Mia before she met me, but she was telling me, she was admitting that, am I going crazy? No, I'm crazy. I think I hallucinate, and it's not true. And then when I told her that the kids are right here and they are sending us signs, you just have to be open and aware, she said, oh, wait a minute, I got this and I got that. And she started telling me about it. And I said, yes, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Emma told me she was very open to talk about life and death. And she, the last few months of her life, she knew that she doesn't have much to live. And she was wise before her, beyond her years. And she told me, Mom, even if I'm not going to be here for you to see me, I'm going to be here in spirit. I will send you signs and you will know that it's me.
Wow.
Just like that.
That's amazing.
There were conversations that I couldn't even keep up with her, or I would change the conversation because it was hard for me. Now I feel sorry. I should have stayed there and listened to her what she said, but it was hard for me.
You had to do what you had to do, and you're right about the wisdom. We've talked about that, like that whole.
But I never forget what she told me. And sure enough, after she transitioned, she delivered. And I was open, and I was, as much as I acknowledged, and I said, thank you, Emma. I know it's you. Like she told me, you will know that it's me. I know it's you. Thank you. And as much as I acknowledged and said thank you, it started happening more often and more intricate signs. Not only, I have to admit that probably 6 months before she passed away, she started finding hearts in everything around her. If she would have stained her shirt with something, it would have taken a heart shape. This is an example. If she would have cried, she didn't cry much, but if she would have cried on the pillow, it would have taken a heart shape, that stain. So it became creepy at one point. And if she would have had blood work done, that stain of blood would have been a heart shape. And I said to her, I think these are signs from God. God loves you. I was never upset with God for what happened. And I knew that this must have happened for something bigger than this. Like, I'm still trying to find the reason, the purpose of why this happened. And this is how I'm trying to grow from this. And she said, how can you say that these are signs from God? A 15-year-old, right? She saw it differently. She said, I see kids that are dying in the hospital. My friends are dying. I'm going to die. And you tell me that God loves me? I don't believe it, she said. And she also said, I think these are signs from the kids who passed away, and they are waiting for me there. Which kind of opened the door to us. It was like a mutual thing, if you want. It's saying to me, I'm going to send you these signs too, you will see. So the first things that I received were hearts everywhere. And probably mothers who lost their children, they do find hearts all the time. But if they believe it, they feel it. They feel it that is from their child. But then I found other things and other things, and I got a lot of one signs that it stands out, and I want to mention about it. Last summer, I traveled with Ramona to Helping Parents Heal conference. 1,000 people, very powerful, beautiful, in Arizona. Beautiful. I left one day before. Ramona followed me the next day. And there is another thing that I have to mention. Besides gymnastics, Emma loved airplanes, and she loved to travel. She used to watch Maydays. And there is no mistake, after Emma transitioned, when I travel with the airplane, one seat beside me is empty all the time. No mistake. This time there were 2 seats beside me empty, even though the airplane was full. And I was amazed. I said, that means the little baby Mia is with me too. I can't wait to get there to tell Ramona. So during the flight, what happens was, the lady behind me found something on the floor, and close to the destination, she tapped on my shoulder and she said, hey, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you lost something. Something fell from your chair. And she gave it to me, and it was a pendant with a heart.
Wow.
And I looked at it and I said, well, it is not mine, but can I take a picture of it? She looked at me like we didn't understand like what to believe. And she said, yeah, but it fell from your chair and nobody sits beside you, and I was sure it's yours. I said, no, it's not mine, but I believe it's a sign from my daughter who passed away, and she's sending me signs like this, and I believe this is a sign from her that she's traveling with me because I'm going to a conference for parents who lost children. And she went, oh my God, I think it's for you. Keep it. She was thinking at this point to give it to the flight attendant maybe, but nobody claimed it anyways. So she said, you know what, keep it. I believe that this is for you.
Wow.
So I keep it. I say thank you. And at that moment, I take out from my bag a booklet in which I printed only my chapter that I wrote about Emma. And on the booklet, it says, in memory of Emma Niago. And she looks, and I said, I want to share the story of my daughter with you. I have it here printed in this booklet. So I give it to her, and she looks on the cover and she says, your daughter's name is Emma? And I said, yes, her name is Emma. And she goes, my daughter's name is Emma too. I have 3 boys and 1 daughter, and her name is Emma. I said, well, this is how I know my Emma is talking to me through you. And I asked her, how old is your daughter? And she goes, 19. Well, this summer, my daughter would have been 19.
Wow.
So this is not something that I can make up or somebody can make up. This is a synchronicity. I don't believe in coincidences anymore.
I don't believe in coincidence, but that's really amazing, that story. That really, I love that you shared that, because it just shows the connection, and that you were so open, right? You could have just pretended and been like, whatever, but that you know, the seat opened, the heart, and then the daughter, like that. Yeah, that's not just some, oh, let's rationalize it and figure it out. It doesn't need to be figured out. And that feels really important. I know those that are tuning in have had, you know, many have had some kind of loss, right? Whether in you know, with people like beyond children, but mostly children. And so to know that the way that comes through is so present, but also dropping in. I know that you were just sharing earlier, like, well, maybe, you know, every mother sees hearts. I don't think that's true, by the way. And what I've seen with a lot of bereaved moms, I rarely hear moms talk about receiving hearts. So that's like your connection, right? I just want to like give you what I hear out in the world. I actually hear a lot of butterflies. Butterflies is a real symbol for a lot of people, like a butterfly in the car all of a sudden, a butterfly in the middle of winter, like in places that it should not be. And I feel like when we get those really strong messages, we get to be open, right? And then receive, okay. And I feel like you were saying this, Claudia, and just, you're kind of dropping in and just trusting it, and then seeing how then that connection and communication continues to expand. Like it just becomes a part of you, and you get to move between back and forth, right? With going, oh, I almost feel like a sense of normalcy in it, because yeah, you've had to reshift your whole entire reality. And then knowing that that connection continues to move and expand. And I know you were talking about, was it you, Ramona? You were talking about sharing, you said you were in another book or something, your story?
Yeah, so we first shared our daughter's story in another anthology.
And oh, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Do you think there'd be a part 2 of this book? I'm like holding it up that people can't see it.
Absolutely. Oh yes.
I always tell Claudia, let's start. It's just
Oh wow.
yeah,
Okay.
Like
Part 2.
busy. I have 3 moms who are waiting. I actually told them it'll be this year, but we haven't started yet. But we very much would like to, because we hear, as we met more moms in it's called the grieving community, but it's such a sad word. But in our community, a lot of moms are sharing their signs, and they're all beautiful. And I think it's not our signs. I mean, yes, they are personal, but I think it's beneficial to a lot of mothers, and not just mothers, just people who lost a loved ones, to hear that signs are real. And I want to encourage everybody who lost someone. I'm particularly thinking about parents who lost a child, is to document the signs. Because for the first 6-7 months, yes, I was receiving signs. I didn't document anything. I'm sure I missed a lot of them. The strongest ones, I still remember, and they're in the book. But after I acknowledged the signs and I started documenting them, whenever I'm having a hard day, I just look at, the strongest ones, the ones that I resonate the most with. Like, for example, I think it was a year and a half ago, I was having a conversation with Mia in my mind, and I don't remember what I was saying, but she was telling me, Mom, you really have to be hit in the head with a sign for you to acknowledge it. And she was telling me to believe. And then the next day or the day after, we were in a park, and a boomerang hit me in the head. And that for me was, one of the biggest signs, because she was telling me, you have to believe, you don't have to be hit in the head with it to believe. So there's a lot of signs that I document, pictures of, in my case, faces of babies in the sky. And I cannot do that. I cannot take a photo and change it. I know it's for me to believe and for me to acknowledge. I took that photo, and there's a clear photo of a baby's face. In my hardest moments, I go back to those signs. And yes, maybe every sign has a scientific explanation. We just had a discussion about this. Yes, there's a scientific explanation for every sign. So a person could say, yeah, well, this happened because, there are butterflies in the world and there are hummingbirds in the world, but it's not about that. It's about the connection you feel with your child. Absolutely. For example, when I was in nature at a cottage, and I was sitting on the patio, this was very early in my journey, about maybe 2 months after Mia transitioned. And I was on the patio, and I was just looking at the beautiful forest in front of me, and I was thinking about Mia, and I was crying, and there's a hummingbird coming in front of my face, maybe 2 or 3 centimeters, and hovered for a few seconds and then flew away. And for me, that moment is magical. I mean, yes, there are hummingbirds in the world. Yes, they fly, and yes, they fly past people, but making that face-to-face connection for a few seconds, you cannot easily explain that. And that was healing for me. So I keep a journal of the signs. And of course, I share them with Claudia, and Claudia shares them with me. And I encourage all the parents who lost a child just to believe, and that just makes it so magical and so healing. And guess what? You will receive the more signs you acknowledge, the more signs you will receive.
I love that you shared that. That's very powerful, of like, the more that you open to receive. And I even heard that in your connection to Claudia, the conversation. And this is why the book is here. This book is an energy center that's sharing something, and you're not minimizing, oh, science versus thought or whatever. But it almost, to me, doesn't matter as much. It's like what you said. It really doesn't, because what we do as humans, when we start to do that, we become robots to like, well, nothing exists, nothing's here, which is untrue, because we're so multidimensional. Some of us tap in more deeper or more open to that reality and connection. And it doesn't make people better. It's just, I feel like people have that internal like presence and right to connect between worlds and souls. And I've heard it called even the death space. The death space is here all the time. It's not this place that's far away. It's like a dimension away. And even as you said that, makes me think of someone I just worked with recently who was, in a whole other country time zone, and we kept trying to meet for a long time. And she was in pregnancy, but then she lost her earth child at 1.5, and she wasn't well. And I'm sitting in this space with her, and I'm going, oh, and then I'm hearing this little girl speaking to me and just telling me really beautiful things about who she is, her life. But she was also showing me that she wasn't well. So I could see a little bit of a story. And of course, I'm like asking the mom, like the mom's not telling me any information, which is good. But I'm going, here's what's coming up. Is this how, she passed, and is this what's happening? Is like, oh, okay. But when I really felt her energy, and it's actually, I feel really honored, because there's such a huge expression of light. I don't even have words for it, to be honest. It's such an experience and a connection. And what I do see with a lot of children, and by the way, I've been attracting a lot in this past, I even say few months, a lot of earth children that were here for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I don't usually attract a lot of that energy. And so I've been really showing up to hear and listen to these children and just listen to the parents. And so a lot of these children, they always have, it's as though they're made out of rainbows and sweet peaches. Like, I know that sounds like, because I feel like I'm just trying to give a textural sensory connection. And me, it's so profound, because I'm like, these children are, forever children between the earth world, but the soul is so much more, that they come to us in ways of communication and connection. And like, I'm showing up going, hey, will you show up for me? Like, who am I? I'm not even connected or related to the energy of that space. And I think that's what makes that work, with uncertainty for a lot of people. But I, on a time to time, like this woman who came, and we were trying to meet for a long time, and then this happened last week, and then she's pregnant, and it's just like I walk away going, whoa, what just happened? Because it was so much more than what I thought it was. Because I didn't know that she had a loss, and that I thought she was coming with pregnancy. I didn't know. I don't want to read ahead too much about anything, because I want to be so present with people. But I do feel in my heart that the children that do come, like with this, they're coming because they know that I could be an in-between energy to help wherever that mom is at, wherever her family's at. And to me, and I had to sit with it, because it felt really, sometimes things feel really big for me too. And what I do is I have an altar, and I light a candle actually for that child. And I sit there, and I have to like make sure I don't take that energy on of that mother's heartache. And it feels very vulnerable to me. Like this has happened a few times, I've noticed this year, where I'm like, I want to light this candle. I'm going to sit with this little girl and just like not take the sadness and the pain and the energy of that family, but knowing that this beautiful being in their soul form is so expressive, and they're so present with their families. And I think that's my biggest mission in the bereavement circle, that I even have a little private one, is like, we're always kind of just building energy around knowing and trusting, as you said, your stories. This is how I run that bereavement energy space. Is we're going into the stories of our children through signs, through symbols, through wherever we are, wherever the women are in their own heart space, because everybody's in a different space and everybody's loss experience is different. Like there is not a cookie cutter, this is how you have to grieve, this is how you have to feel. And there's no like, I feel like in the spaces I like to create, there's no like it has to be this way. And I know you ladies know that as when I came into your space, and I just feel like we can't tie ourselves down to one thing. And that's what I love about you both sharing, is that your unique stories to you, that to me feels like that is it, right? That's fluidity, that's creativity, that's love. We can say that's God, that's femininity. It's like that's the energy of really being in the noticing with your children. And I wrote down here, I love Claudia, you said flipped into eternity. It's so sweet, like flipped, like flipping, like gymnastics.
Oh, she loved to do tricks and flips, and this is what she looked forward from the beginning. Since she got the amputation, she thought, that's funny, she thought that she will wake up from the surgery with the prosthesis on already.
Oh,
and
right?
When she found out, well, it's not gonna be like that, it's gonna take a while. Oh, okay, she kind of was disappointed, but then eventually she went back to gymnastics, and this is the first thing she looked forward to flip again.
Wow.
To flip again, and she did. She even challenged the prosthetician to make a special prosthesis for her for sports, to be bouncy. And she did.
Yeah,
that was beautiful to see that she was able to do what she loved the most.
Yeah. And that you said something important too, is sorry, Ramona, just a minute.
Okay.
That there's like an amputation of, how did you say that, of her in your life? Like she's but you know what I'm saying? Like, but you figure it out, like she's that piece that's not, how did you say that? I'm not articulating it right.
I said, if my family now lives with an amputation, and if I don't rock it the way she did, if I don't do the way she did, she used to say, I rock it, I wear it and I rock it, and she did. I'm so proud of her. While Ramona was talking, something came up to my mind about a sign that we both encountered. We were together. Is actually the first day when we had a meeting with the moms here in Toronto, because I don't know if we mentioned throughout this conversation already.
Not yet.
The book came hand in hand with us starting an organization here in Toronto, a nonprofit organization, which is called the same, Walking in the Light of Our Kids. And the meaning to this is to have moms here in Toronto have a space, safe
not just moms,
where to meet. Not just moms, parents who lost children, to have a safe space where to meet. We meet on a monthly basis, but we have Zoom meetings too. And it's beautiful that first meeting, when we had the first meeting in September 25th, I will never forget, 2022, Ramona and I traveled together to the place where we had the meeting, and we stopped to a bakery in the way there to get some.
Because I insisted.
Yeah, she insisted for some reason. I kept saying,
I had to get Claudia a coffee cake. I said, I must get you a coffee cake. That coffee cake was embedded in my brain.
Yeah, and I said, we don't need, I already brought some treats for the moms. And she said, no, I need to get this coffee cake. Okay. So we went there, and it's a small plaza. The parking was full. And we looked at the plaza. We said, we have no parking spot. But as we were saying, a car pulls out. And Ramona and I, okay, we got a spot. But guess what? The license plate number was? Our kids. It read on that car. and we both were looking at each other. We couldn't believe it. Like,
And there were two older ladies in the car. One was driving, one in the passenger seat, and we waved at them.
we were so,
Thank you. And they
like,
probably
what are
thought
the
we were not.
chances?
They
What are
probably
the
thought we were
chances to
not.
find that car license plate reading our kids when we were
Wow.
heading to our first meeting of walking in the light of our kids?
Yeah.
Wasn't about the coffee cake, though it sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
No,
We
it
did
wasn't about
get-
a coffee cake.
we did get the coffee cake, but yeah, we were flying.
But I love
Um,
that. This is the stories that I think is so profound. It's because our logic and our minds aren't in the way. We're just showing up. You're listening to the showing up. And sometimes, sometimes you may have other feelings like, oh, I don't know why I have this feeling I'm going to this thing. I don't know why, or I'm going to walk down the street, or I'm going to make this, I don't know. And then you see something and you're like, oh, okay. I know that happens to me quite often where I get like I have this podcast. I belong to this podcast where I get these emails all the time. And you don't have time, you don't, click on it, right? And then I felt an energy said, like it felt like a strong like click it, like I didn't hear a voice. I didn't like it was just like I have to click this. I don't know why. And it clicked it and it was all about children and spirituality and their abilities. And I'm like, of course, out of all the episodes that this person could do, you were like, you need to just click it. Like I didn't even think about it. And hopefully I think she's going to be on my podcast now because I'm like, what is that? And I love those connections. Is sometimes like my mind couldn't figure it out, but I just had to go with it. And other times you're like, you're getting that message like go get the coffee cake, like no, I'm just gonna, I don't know. And it's like this is the power and what you ladies get to teach really others and guide others on this journey. And I feel like that's why I was like, I feel like there is a second book, by the way. And I
I
feel
feel
like
so too.
yeah,
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 and I wouldn't say necessarily teach. I feel humble because I just want to be with other mothers. Well, parents,
yeah,
I should say. It's just that they're mostly moms attend our meetings. I always say we heal together because as much as I am there and I speak about the signs and synchronicities and Claudia as well, and we bring in speakers and we hope it's healing for the moms. It's healing for us too, because then they have
Absolutely.
the courage and they have the heart to speak about their own experiences. And when they say, I've never told anyone this, or I don't want people to think I'm crazy, that is the safe space that
yeah.
they're looking for. And it's really been healing. We didn't create this organization just to help other mothers, but really it's healing for us as well to hear all the stories, because and Claudia knows as well. I mean, it's not easy to share signs and synchronicities and to say I'm connected to my child and I speak to my child every day, to the everyday people that we see in our lives. And I really like that we have a safe space there. I mean, Claudia and I share all the time, but it's really healing when there's more mothers healing together. And I also wanted to specify that, like Claudia said, we have online meetings as well. So there is a there's a Facebook page, Walking in the Light of Our Kids, and there's also a private Facebook group just for parents who lost children. I just think it's beautiful because their parents can share their experiences with their children in spirit.
Well, we're just coming up to the end, and I want you to share all the ways that people can buy the book, become a part. I know I heard you just share about just any ways of contacting, staying connected with you. And what I'll do in the show notes, I will put all those links so people can find it directly.
Yeah,
so
we have a website, walkinginthelightofOurkids.ca. We are based in Toronto, Canada. The Facebook page with the same name. The private on the Facebook page, there's a link to the private Facebook group for parents who lost children, and the book can be bought on Amazon and on our website.
Yeah. Is that's okay? That's great. And again, I'll have those so people can click directly. But I want to hear any final words to the community here. Any final things you want to share, both of you?
I'll start. I want to say that the beginning of my journey was extremely rough, and I'm sure that your listeners are truly understanding my words. When you know or when you believe that your child is forever gone, it's truly unbearable. And I am so happy that I met Claudia, and I now I know that Mia is still here with me. This connection with her really saved my life, and allowed me to still be a good and present mother for my other daughters, and a wife to my husband, and a daughter to my parents, and a sister. This connection with my daughter, I want to tell all the parents who lost children to believe in the communication, to ask for signs, to be humble in asking for signs and say thank you, and just to open up. I always laugh and I tell Claudia that I'm just opening up my arms, and I say I'm open to receive, and I'm waiting for your signs, without being too demanding, or a sign is not going to happen the next minute, but I always receive what I asked for. So yeah, I just want to tell the parents who lost children that the children are not lost. They are here, and just learn to recognize the signs. Thank you.
Amazing, beautiful. Thank you.
There are many times when I strongly believe that what happened with Emma is, it sounds crazy at the beginning, but I dove into this, and I really believe that Emma can do more now from where she is. She used to inspire a lot of kids and a lot of people through what she's been through. But now I believe she can do more. And this is probably it might be one of the reasons that this happened. And I give you a quick example. We've been to the cemetery recently, and one man passed by to the left, to the right. He didn't say nothing until at one point he approached us. He was very humble and polite, and he said, "Are you Emma's family?" And we said, "Yes." We didn't know him. And he said, "I just want to tell you that Emma's story is very inspiring." And I said, "Thank you, but how do you know Emma's story?" And he went, "Because I passed by many times. I walk in the cemetery and I look on monuments, and I saw her picture on the monument, and it took my attention, and I went and Googled her name, and I found the videos with her, the video from Romania's Got Talent with her leg amputated." And he said, "I'm a teacher, and I want you to know that every year I share the video of Emma with my students." And this melted my heart. This made my day, because I know that she still inspires other kids, other generations through these men, and who know through how many other people. So I will just end by quoting another child who passed away of the same type of cancer, osteosarcoma. His name is Matthew Mancini, and he was 11 when he passed away from Niagara Falls. And he started a fundraising for pediatric cancer. And he said, when the reporters asked him, "What are you trying to say? What is the message here of what you are doing?" And he said, "We are trying to tell people to believe. If they don't believe, nothing will happen." And he was just 11 years old. He was talking about childhood cancer and raising money for childhood cancer. But I do believe that this was beyond a message beyond of what he was telling about cancer. It's to believe. If you don't believe, nothing. Magic is not there.
Wow. Thank you so much for both of you for sharing this book as heart love guardians. I like to say teachers of just your own experience and bringing in the, you know, the heart connection of soul communication and the truth and the love, the intuition, all kind of wrapped in there. And that every day is a daily practice into the curiousness of it, right? And into the evolution of it. And I look forward to sharing your book more widely and you know, to be continued. I'd love to have you on again in the future, see where things are at, where your organizations are. And again, I'll have all those links provided so those can find it. Thank you.
Kelly, for sharing.
Thank you for
this,
having us, and thank you for everything you do, Kelly.
Thank you. And so, thank you for joining episode 166, May 26, 2023, Real Stories and Experiences with Children Walking in the Light, Conversations of the Heart. Thank you for joining Spirit Baby Radio with your host, me, Kelly. And please join my newsletter for Spirit Baby 101 video on tips and practices. Order my book, It's a Journal, Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby Journal, and Cards for Your Healing Journey, Spirit Baby Oracle Cards, Soul Answers from Spirit Baby. To learn more about my services and supporting people all around the world in private one-on-one sessions, online classes, programs, and private VIP retreats, you can reach me at kellyanmeehan.com or spiritbabymedium.com, as well as on Instagram at spiritbabymedium, and email is spiritbabymedium@gmail.com. Remember to always listen to your heart communication, and your spirit child says hello. Thank you for joining.